So now that I have my drawing completed, the first thing I'm going to do is remove this protective tape. It's important that you etch the whole stone and not just the area surrounding the drawing. Now I'll dust the image with rosin. You just need a light coat. I'm not scrubbing, I'm just moving it gently across the surface. Next I'll do the same thing, and instead I'm using talc. This further helps protect sensitive areas in my imagery. Now we're ready to begin the etch process. I'm looking at my drawing here for any very fragile areas. The lines that I've drawn with the number 5 crayon or the really light washes are going to need straight gum arabic without any acid. So I'm going to start just by touching these areas with the gum solution. I don't need to worry about letting that dry before I move on to the rest of the drawing. The next step is to mix a weak acid. A weak acid for me is going to be 5 drops per 1 ounce. So I'm going to add a little more arabic and 5 drops of nitric acid. Most of the rest of this drawing can be etched with this weak acid solution. Now you might be tempted to stay inside the lines of the drawing, but the entire stone should be covered. I'm going right over the plain gum arabic that I put down. It'll be dry enough on the surface to handle this on top of it. Okay, now I'm going to go back in and put a strong acid solution on any of the areas that are very dark or have heavy grease deposits. So I'm going to add a little more nitric acid. 3 more drops is sufficient. And you notice that I wiped away any excess of that weak acid solution just so that it's not diluting this, and this actually etches the darker spots. The stronger your acid solution, the stronger your etch. And if the etch is too strong, you can burn out some of the more fragile areas. So I am being careful with this extra strong acid not to touch those first areas that I tried to protect. Now the next step is to buff that gum arabic etch into the entire stone until it's dry. The gum is very sticky, so when it's not tacky as a touch, it's completely dry. The next step is to rinse out the drawing. I'm using lithotripsy, which is a kerosene derivative. So now at this point the drawing is going completely away, but it should be etched into the stone. So I won't be able to see it anymore. This can be kind of a frightening part if you spent a lot of time on your work. It's important to completely clean the grease away, so I don't see any more of the crayon or the liquid touche. This is just plain water. You can see some of the hydrophobic qualities of the stone already, the way that it's repelling water in certain areas. That's good. That means I have a strong etch in those places. The very last step is to take asphaltum and buff it into the cleaned stone. You may notice that I'm using shop towels, so I have a clean surface or a clean rag each time. I don't want to mix the lithotripsy with the asphaltum. Now you can see the drawing is returning in the areas where it's been etched. Okay, already I see that I'm going to have some cleanup here on this particular image. I've got some leakage that happened under the tape. So even before I proof this stone, I'm just going to take a simple piece of sandpaper and touch up that spot. Now I've removed the etch from that spot. I've also removed the protective gum arabic, so I'm going to need to go back through, not with my strong etch, but with just plain gum arabic, and touch up that area so that it doesn't take ink. One final rinse, and now we're ready to proof this stone.